Is the business edition with me, Tanya Beckett. Britain's shoppers face the highest sales tax ever. The UK government moves to bring down its bulging deficit, but it isn't alone. In Britain, the new higher rate of value-added tax, a form of sales tax, has been introduced. All goods except food, newspapers, magazines and children's clothing will see the standard rate of VAT increase to 20% from 17.5%. It's part of the UK government's measures to bring down its swollen deficit. The UK is not alone. 5 other countries in Europe have introduced some sort of sales tax increase just this week. In Asia, Malaysia's sales tax has increased. Pakistan is considering introducing one, under pressure from the International Monetary Fund, although there's huge political opposition. Even in the famously anti-tax US, a national form of consumption tax is being touted by President Obama. Well, joining us to look at the global picture is Richard Asquith from the accounting services company TMF Group. Richard, what is the attraction from the government's perspective of VAT?
Well, in simple terms, it's very easy for them to raise money very quickly and to fill up the coffers again and to keep all their creditors very happy, which is obviously, at the moment with the current economic crisis, is foremost at all governments' minds.
So it's a very speedy way of raising revenue?
It is. It's near instant. Within a few weeks of an announcement, money will be flowing into the Treasury.
And so it's pretty easy to administer, I would imagine? It
is. The great thing about, from a government's point of view, that is, about VAT is that they don't collect it, unlike payroll taxes and corporation taxes. They leave it to the poor companies who have to act as unpaid tax collectors and employ many staff, understanding all the different regulations in this country and then across Europe and globally on how it's all calculated and then collected and then paid. So it's fantastic for governments. It really is. It's a win-win for them.
From an economic point of view, though, does it dampen retail sales at a time when really the consumer is possibly one large element of bringing economies out of recession?
It can do. It depends on the underlying economic circumstances behind it. What's probably likely, for example, in the UK, is that many retailers, it's speculated, will use it as an excuse to add on not just the VAT increase, but a little bit extra for themselves.
Well, that would cause inflation.
Exactly. Putting VAT up by 2.5% automatically creates 2.5% inflation. But where we look at other countries, including the UK in the past, that have increased VAT, retailers typically have added on a bit extra for themselves. And in extreme cases, Jersey introduced a VAT system last year. Many retailers doubled the increase. So VAT came in, or GST as it's called there, at 3%, but inflation went up by somewhere around 6 to 7%. So that's the risk here, which will obviously cause problems for the Bank of England with their plans to try and control inflation.
And we know that the US has famously avoided any sort of blanket tax in that way.
Yeah.
But it might be changing its mind, even the US.
Well, I think the US, behind closed doors, know that they do have to introduce VAT. They're the only people now that don't have it. Pakistan, India, Brazil, China, they all have systems which they're improving every day. But the difficulty for the US is they're just so resistant to taxes, as the British found out 200 odd years ago. And as we've seen in the recent midterm elections, there's a strong anti-taxation feeling in the US. So whilst there may have been a chance with all the goodwill of Obama coming in a few years ago, that's probably all gone now.
Richard, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
And you're not stuck with me for much longer, that's it. Bye-bye.